Good morning, guys. My name is Jacqueline Hannon, and I'm the director of Hannon's 360. This is another video coming to you specifically focusing on the Cashflow Booster that has been announced as part of COVID-19 stimulus relief package, specifically for small to medium businesses who employ staff members. So before we get stuck into it, I firstly want to just say thank you so much to all of our wonderful clients, friends, family, and greater community who've been supporting us and encouraging us and being very grateful for the resources that we have been providing. So thank you very much for expressing your thanks with regards to that. And I'd also like to today give a special shout out to Jason Andrews, who's he's an accountant advisor who has shared a spreadsheet that he has created to help us calculate these numbers. So I certainly want to give a credit to them. So SBO Financials, the name of his firm. So kindly shared his spreadsheet with other accountants and advisors to assist them in assisting their clients. So it's wonderful to see so many people supporting each other during this crazy time. So what we're going to do is I have released some information previously for those who've watched the video. That video is available, so you'll be able to go back and have a look at that for specifically focusing on businesses and those who employ others. But what we really want to do is we want to focus today on the Cashflow Booster. Reason being is that this could potentially be quite a significant amount of money for some businesses and a big game changer. So it's a minimum of $20,000 available for those who employ staff members, even if you don't withhold pay-as-you-go withholding. So it's a really big game changer, but there's been a lot of confusion as to how much people will be entitled to, how it's calculated, who will be eligible to receive it, and when those payments will be made. So I'm creating today a separate video just on that, focusing on that, and providing you also with an Excel spreadsheet so that you'll be able to go away and calculate those numbers for yourself. Also providing a number of tips and things. So let's talk about what we're going to be covering just now. So the Cashflow Booster, and again, going through the calculator initially, then we're going to be talking about the eligibility and payments, as well as tips on how to maximize this payment as well. So there's a number of strategies that we can be looking at. At the end of the day, this stimulus package is there to support businesses. So we want to make sure that you're getting the maximum amount that you're entitled to. And that's what it's all about. So let's jump over now. So I'm just going to change my screens and switch over to the spreadsheet. Let's just have a look at that. All right, so we're looking at the cash flow assistance spreadsheet. Again, this is the one that has been created by SBO Financial. So thank you so much, Jason, who's gone to the effort of putting that together. That's just absolutely amazing. For us sleep-deprived accountants and financial advisors, that was certainly a big help. So again, it's a temporary, this cash flow assistance is a temporary cash flow support to small to medium businesses who employ staff members. Now, the critical thing there is it's tax-free. I've already been asked the question, oh, but now we need to pay tax on this. No, you don't. It will be tax-free. And for our clients, we're already creating a separate account code to ensure that you're declaring that separately, so that when we do your end of year tax return, that we're not going to be including that and paying tax on it. So if you manage your own accounts, just make sure that you're recording that separately as well in your accounting system under a separate code, so that you can ensure that it's not going to be taxed on. Okay, so the important thing here is it's cash back or a credit on your tax account, and it's calculated as 100% of your pay-as-you-go withholding of your wages. And the critical thing here is it's actually paid in two separate calculation periods. So it is different to the initial announcement that was made in the first round of the stimulus package. It is different, and that's possibly where the confusion's gone. So you almost need to throw out that first one and we'll start again. Because there are two lots of payments, and it's 100% of your pay-as-you-go withholding. And unlike before, where it was a minimum of $2,000, it's now a minimum of $20,000 that you'll receive if you're entitled, if you're an employer and you've got pay-as-you-go withholding, or registered for pay-as-you-go withholding rather. So the first payment that you will receive will be based on the calculation period between January and June. So, and it again will be 100% of the payment, but it's going to be capped at 50% for the period with a minimum of $10,000. So if you're a significantly sized small business and you've got at least $50,000 or more than $50,000 of pay-as-you-go withholding, then it's going to be capped at that amount. So be mindful of that. But the good news is that for those who only have minimal pay-as-you-go withholding, you're now going to be entitled to a minimum of $10,000 in that first round or $20,000 overall. So to give you an idea, if you were paying yourself, so if you were self-employed and paying yourself wages between $80,000 and $100,000, that would be about the $20,000 tax amount. So that's what that's equivalent to. So there's an opportunity for $80,000 to $100,000 to almost be tax-free in a sense by enabling that credit to offset your tax. So, and this is where we can talk about the strategies for the self-employed who aren't already declaring their wages, whether they're paying it through a drawings or a dividend or a trust distribution. There could be the potential for us to maximize this position for you. And for those who are already employing as well, then you, again, it's going to help you credit back that tax, keep more cash flow in your business. Some of the clients that I have spoken to, they're not, or they might be only slightly impacted by COVID-19 or not too greatly impacted. So in some businesses, this is actually going to boost their business and help them to be stronger during this time, which is fantastic. And then there are other businesses who well and truly need this bonus, and it's something that I guess they're relying on during this time. So that's the first payment. Now the second payment is calculated differently. It's going to, the calculation period is between the June and September period. The key thing there is that the payment is actually calculated based on that payment one, and it's going to be divided. So that's probably where it gets a bit confusing. So it's best to just show you through the spreadsheet. So I'm going to show you through the spreadsheet, and that's going to help to calculate. And you'll be able to go through that yourself. And even if it's confusing, just put in your figures. At the end of the day, even if you don't quite understand how it works, put in the figures into the spreadsheet, and then that will tell you how much you're entitled to and when you can anticipate to receive the payment. Okay, so the spreadsheet here is divided into two different types. So again, quarterly lodgement of the cycle. So for those who pay the pay-as-you-go withholding when they pay the BAS on a quarterly basis, this is going to be you here. So this section here is going to apply to you. And then for those who are lodging, so Hannon's 360 as an example, we lodge on a monthly basis because our wages is over that $25,000 per year. Our pay-as-you-go withholding is over $25,000 per year. So we're required to lodge monthly. And this section is going to be relevant for us here. Now, there is potentially an opportunity for those to switch to pay to monthly to get to be able to benefit from receiving those payments more frequently. So these again are all part of the strategies that we can potentially look at for your business. So there is a potential for us to have a look at that to accelerate the payments from the Cashflow Booster. All right, so let's have a look at the quarterly lodgement first, and this will begin to explain exactly how it works and when we can, how the payments can be calculated as well. All right, so quarterly payment first round. So this is your March BAS, so your wages between January and March. So let's put in some figures here. So let's say that I've only got minimal pay-as-you-go withholding and it's about $5,000. So I don't employ a lot of people and I've got $5,000. So I've put that $5,000 in, and what you've noticed is that this cash flow concession has not changed. I'm still entitled to my total of $20,000 and it has not changed. So the reason why it has not changed is it's because it's under that $10,000 mark. So anything up until that $10,000, you'll see that these calculations here won't change. But once I go over the $10,000, so let's go $11,000, then all of a sudden my calculation changes. So you can see here that it's $11,000 that we'll get back. So we'll credit 100% of my pay-as-you-go withholding in that first payment. And then in that second round, so the second round of calculations, what happens is that initial amount, this whole round one is taken and it is divided evenly between these 2 quarters, and I will receive a payment. So the total amount will be doubled, but it is not paid in 2 lots of payments. It's actually paid and split over these quarters. And you'll have the payment dates here. But if potentially you won't actually get a credit back, it might result in it might not be a cash payment, it might just be a credit to your ATO account, because that's how they're going to be distributing these payments. They're going to, if you watch the other video, and I'll talk about it in a bit more detail when we go back to the slideshow, but they provide a credit to your ATO account, and you'll only get that cash back if you don't owe any money to the ATO or results in a refund on the ATO account. Okay, so let's go through another example here. And again, even if you don't quite understand how it works, just plug in the figures and you can say, well, you know, I pay $15,000 worth of pay-as-you-go withholding. Great, I'm going to get my $15,000 and I'll get 2 more payments. These are the dates I'll receive them over here, and these are the amounts that I will receive. Okay, so even if you're not quite sure, just plug it into the calculator and it'll be calculated for yourself. Now, what I want to run through is for those who have amounts higher than that. So let's say that you've got substantial withholding, so it's $30,000. Sorry, let's run through another example. I might say that it was $12,000 for this one, but then I got had to pay another $12,000 here in my June BAS. And so you can see now that these amounts are totaled together, and then that's the way in which it will be distributed. So effectively, I would get a payment here on the 28th of April, one on the 28th of July, one on the 28th of July again, and then one on the 28th of October. So that's the way in which those payments would be paid out. So I hope that makes sense. Now let's have a look at the monthly lodgement now. So for those who lodge monthly, so Hannon's is one of those. So we might have, for instance, $5,000 in monthly IAS. So you can see here that this $5,000 is less than the $10,000, but what they've done is they've multiplied it by 150%, so times 3. And they've done that because it's only a monthly amount. So they've tried to increase that amount or multiply it out to get that quarterly amount. So again, if we receive nothing, then we'll get the 10,000. If we put the $1,000 in, it won't result in anything. $2,000 will come up to 6,000, and 4,000 will bump us over that 10,000, and then that's where that figure will then increase. Okay, so ours is, let's say that we're sitting at 5,000 is what it was there. The next month we pay 5,000 again. Next month we pay 5,000. I might actually, you know, June it might drop down. We've been impacted by COVID. Some of the casual staff members might need to drop down. In June, we're down again. So again, use this calculator to play around with it, apply it to your own business, and you can see how those calculations will work. So in this particular example here, this business will be entitled to $52,000, and you can see where these payments will apply. So if you're already concerned about your cash flow and you've said, okay, Mr. ATO, or Mr. or Mrs. ATO, I'm going to withhold rather than pay my March BAS, or sorry, my December BAS that was recently due, you're still holding on to that. If you do put that into a payment arrangement, what that will mean is you can kind of defer that payment if you're really struggling. And then when these cash flow boosters come in, then that will help to offset that amount that you've deferred. So there's some really big strategies that we could potentially be looking at with regards to how you can manage your cash flow. I hope that helps. Please, again, run through the calculator. I'm sorry if I haven't explained it well enough because it is quite confusing, but that's why if you rely on the calculator, even if you don't quite understand it, it will effectively work those numbers out for you, which is fantastic. So let's just talk now about some of the strategies, as I said, to help you capitalize on claiming the most amount possible. So we've talked about that. So it's up to $100,000 for eligible small businesses and not-for-profit organizations. But now the payment has increased to a minimum of $20,000, which is fantastic. and it's going to be distributed in 2 rounds. So the calculation is different, and you need to use that spreadsheet to work out your entitlement and also to work out when those payments will be distributed. Okay, so the really critical thing is, will I be entitled to this? The key thing is, which I've had some people sort of jump on and quickly try to register for pay-as-you-go withholding, is that you needed to be registered before the 12th of March. So unfortunately, if you're not already registered as an employer or with pay-as-you-go withholding, then you won't be eligible to receive that. So that's a big critical thing that you need to be aware of. You don't necessarily need to have paid wages prior to them, but you certainly need to be registered. And to qualify for the additional payments, you need to be active. So this is really important because I guess, unfortunately, there'll be some businesses who might not be able to maintain their business, and they still need to be active. So that's something to be aware of. If you are entitled to a refund, it's going to take 14 days to process that refund. So those dates that are provided on that Excel spreadsheet, be aware that it's not going to, the credit will be recognized on your ATO account, but it might take 14 days from then for the payment to actually be paid if you're entitled to a cash payment. Okay, so again, the tips, and I've kind of mentioned some of these, but I just really want to cover off on them again. So if you're paying your drawings as either director's fees, dividends, or you're not recognizing your full wages, there's really big opportunities for us to change the way that we're recognizing how you pay yourself out of your business to capitalize on this. However, there are some really important things that you need to be mindful with that. Again, you need to have already been registered for pay-as-you-go withholding as at the 12th of March, 2020. You might need to be registered for single touch payroll as well. So there's the actual administration side. There's a bit more complexity and technicality to it. I guess it's not a case of, oh, that's it, I'm an employer, or and away you go. There's an administration setup that we need to take care of in the background. And the other thing as well is, if all of a sudden you then pay yourself wages, you're previously paying yourself trust distributions. Sorry, I don't know what that's looking forward. That previously paying yourself trust distributions, then potentially you're then having to pay superannuation on that amount. So what that means is it's not going to be as straightforward as just recognizing the wages. All of a sudden you might now have the superannuation amount that you might need to consider. So that's about it for me for now, guys. Hopefully that has given you a better understanding of the Cashflow Booster, what it means for you and your business, opportunities for you to capitalize on increasing that amount,